Hello children, welcome to social science class. In today's class, we are going to discuss about our changing earth. So that is about next chapter, chapter 3 in geography. So before that, when we are getting into this chapter, we'll just discuss about the endogenic and exogenic forces. So why these endogenic forces happen? So the surface of the earth is changing continuously due to the different forces acting on it. So these forces are classified as endogenic and exogenic forces based on where they occur. So here the earth's which was earth inside the part which was given in the layers of earth, it was going on changing continuously due to the different forces which was acting on it. So here these forces are classified as endogenic and exogenic. Endo means inner part and genic means which born from, or we'll tell it as comes from. So exogenic means the outer part. So just we'll learn about the endogenic forces first. So endogenic forces are those forces that originate from and act in the interior of the earth. So here the endogenic forces will force from the interior of the earth. So as we learned the layers of earth, the outer part of the earth is of crust, and after that mantle, and after that outer core, and then inner core. So we learnt about the three layers, that is about crust, mantle and core. In core we saw inner core and outer core, isn't it? So these are the layers we learnt about the earth. So when we see inside these the layers, you can see something is going on happening. So that was classified as endogenic and exogenic forces. Now endogenic means it originate inside the earth. So the something happening inside the earth. So these forces are created mainly as a result of movement of the molten magma inside the earth. So something is happening inside the earth, right? So this happens because of the molten magma. Then the earth crust is broken into various slabs of rocks. It was called as tectonic plates, or we'll tell it as lithospheric plates. So here the earth crust. So the crust means the outer part, isn't it? So it was broken into, when it was broken into various slabs of rocks, it was called as tectonic plates. So these plates are constantly moving because of the movement of hot magma in the mantle. So where is the mantle? The crust. The below part is mantle, isn't it? So there are 7 major plates, and some minor ones are seen, are you can see below. So you can see those plates here. So the red plate, you can see that are plate boundaries. So for each and every place, and you can see the direction of plate movement. Can you see the direction of plate movement? Yes. So this is an example of endogenic forces. The next we are going to see how the plates are moving. So here plate tectonics, I think so that you all learnt in 6th standard. So there are 3 types of movements in tectonic plates. What are they? First one is when 2 plates come towards each other. So for example, you can see the arrow mark when it was given on the top of the green layer. So one is coming from the left and another one is coming from the right, isn't it? So here the 2 plates come towards each other. What happened? So the sand, the soil will be crushed together and it will form like a mountain there. And the second one, when 2 plates move away from each other, so you can see the air mark. So one side is coming in the left side and another part moving in the right side. So what happens? The inside part, which was, as you heard, no, the magma which was getting heat, so it will come with the gap, isn't it? So it will come out with the gap, in the gap which was led by these 2 things, because these 2 plates move away from each other. Then the next tectonic plates it's off. You can see when 2 plates slide against each other, that means one moves front and one moves back side. Can you see the arrow mark? So while it happens here, the earthquake happened because this was sliding over each other, right? So this was happened. So the first thing, you can see the mountains may form, and the second one you can see the volcanoes may form, and the third one the earthquakes were formed. So here now let us see about the next one. that as I explained you know, so you can see that mountains, how it forms, the effects of endogenic forces. Now we are going to learn about the effects. That means we learned about the plates of tectonic, right? So we learned about 3 types of movements of tectonic plates. So here we learn what are the effects of these endogenic forces by this plate tectonics. Okay, so first, mountains. When two plates move towards each other, sometimes one of them starts pushing the upwards. So what happened as a result, the crust starts getting pushed upwards to form mountains. The Himalayas were formed in the way. So in the image to the right, plate 1 is pushing plate 2 upwards, forming a mountain. For example, now we are all going to the beach. So automatically what you will do, you will automatically build a mountain over there. How will you build? With the 2 hands. One hand will be in the other side, another hand will be in the other side. So you will gather the sand in the center part, isn't it? So when you gather that, what will happen? You can see like a mountain part. So this was happened in the endogenic movement. Did you get me? Then second one, the volcanoes. So here, a volcano is a vent, that means it's an opening in the earth's crust through which molten magma erupts suddenly. Then what happened? The magma erupts. So when two plates move towards each other, the plate that is pushed under the other melts due to the heat and magma rises. So what happened? When it was getting heat under the inside the earth, so as well as when the plate pushed under, what will happen? The magma will raise over, isn't it? So when the two plates move away from each other, the magma rises through the gap between the two plates. So if there is any gap, means when it moves, what will happen? Automatically the magma will be like liquid part, right? So it was very heated, it looks like very liquid part. So those liquid part will come in the gap. Then when magma heats up in hot spots, so that this causes the magma to rise. So these are the thing how we can see the volcano forms. Okay, then the third one is of earthquakes. How these are formed? So here, as I told you, when two plates slide against each other, when they slide against each other, the surface of the earth will vibrate. So when we feel this vibrate, that we called it as earthquakes. So earthquakes also sometimes occur when two plates move towards each other and collide. So it will move to each other and collide. So now next we are going to see about earthquake waves. So there are 3 types of earthquake waves which comes under the sea. So P waves, that is of primary wave. It is also called as longitudinal waves, and it was faster among 3. So this is the P waves is the primary wave which is very fastest among 3, and it can move through solid rock and fluids too. Then the second one is of secondary waves. So also it is called as transverse wave, slower than P waves. So can only move through solid rock, not through any liquid medium. Then the third one is of L waves, and the other word will tell it as love waves. So it was named after a British mathematician. So here lower frequency than P and S waves. So this is for your identification. So just I have gathered from the net. And have you all heard about this seismograph? This seismograph is an instrument which is used to detect and record the earthquakes. So here the goal of the seismograph is to accurately record the motion of the ground during a quake. So during the earthquake, this instrument is a thing which can use to detect and record about the earthquakes. Then the Richter scale. What do you mean by Richter scale is of? The Richter scale is a scale of numbers which is used to tell the power of earthquake. So here they have given the measurements by 2.0 or less means felt only a little. Then 5.0 means it can cause damage from things falling. Then 6.0 means it was considered as very strong. Then 7.0 means it was classified as a major earthquake. Then a massive earthquake measuring 6.9 on Richter scale. So hit Bhuj, that Bhuj town, Gujarat, on 26 January 2001. Then in 1960, Chil is a place So it was 9.5 magnitude. So you can see the level. 2.0 is less. It was named as little earthquake, and 5.0 can cause damage for things. It may fall, like trees may fall down like that. Then 6.0 is considered as it's a very strong earthquake, and 7.0 classified as a major earthquake, isn't it? So they have given the example for you also. Then the next is of exogenic forces. What do you mean by exogenic forces? Of this is a force that exists on the exterior of the earth surface. That means outer layer of the earth surface. So as we learnt about endogenic, which happened inside the earth, like mountains, like volcanic eruptions, like then this one, the volcanoes, and another one is of mountain, volcano, and this earthquake. So here we are going to learn about the outer, that means the exterior of the earth surface, which happened outer layer of the earth. So these forces are created mainly as a result of the movement of wind, water, and ice. So here this movement has happened due to the wind, water, and ice. So their movements change the earth's surface through three main processes: by weathering, erosion, and by deposition. So first let us know about weathering. Weathering means the slow process by which external forces break down rocks. For example, a big stone was there. As it rolls down, what will happen? It will break into pieces, right? So this is known as weathering. Then the next one is of erosion. Erosion means the process by which sediments and soil are carried away by water, wind, and ice. For example, the sediments, for example, the broken parts, you can get the solid particles, right? Like sand particles. It will be very weightless. So that this sediments and soil are carried by how? By the water, by the wind, and by the ice. So this is known as erosion. And what do you mean by deposition? Deposition means the process by which eroded sediments and soil are left at a particular place. So they'll be standing at the particular place. For example, it will be flowing by the water or wind or by ice. After sometimes what will happen? It will stay in a particular place. So that is known as deposition. So we learnt about the three processes which is held by the exogenics of weathering, erosion, and deposition. Now let us learn about work of a river. So how we learnt about the erosion, deposition, right? So just we learn how this part is working with the river. So the flowing water of a river weathers rocks, erodes the sediments, and deposits them along its course to form the various landforms. So now let us learn how does the river helps to form a various landforms. So first let us learn about the waterfalls. So have you all gone for the waterfalls? Yes, we all have gone to the Kutralam. Nobody else have never seen without this Kutralam. All have gone to the Kutralam, right? So here the waterfalls is a fall from a very height, isn't it? So it will flow from a very height with huge force. Have you all seen that? The sound you can hear from a long distance, isn't it? So this caused due to the erosion of both the rock and the soil. Then the next one is of delta. So here the delta is one of the things that is of, as a river approaches the sea, it slows down and it splits into distributors. For example, the rivers, when it flows, so when it flows down, what will happen? It will flow in a particular place. At the end, it will come to the sea level, isn't it? So when it comes before that, it will become a distributaries. That means it will divide into so many parts. So we'll tell it as distributaries. This distributaries deposit the sediments and it creates a landform called a delta. So here you can see. So all the sediments, it may create as a landform. Landform means it's a land which you can see the rocks, sand, everything. So it was called a delta. Then the next is of leaves. Leaves means it's a place, a flowing river continuously moving on, right? As it was, you can see the flowing river will not stop in any other place. It will be going on moving. I will also know where it moves, isn't it? So a flowing river continuously deposits the sediments along its bank. So you can see the either sides, all the sediments were there in the either side, both the sides, isn't it? And you can see the water was going on flowing there. So here the building natural raised walls. So here you can see the walls over there on the both the sides, isn't it or not? So this is called leads. Then the next is of floodplain. So here floodplain means what? For example, if when there was a heavy rain, so the river water comes inside the city place and it was flooded over everywhere. So after some days, due to the sun or something else, due to the heat, the place remains as flood, isn't it? So when rivers flood the land, they deposit the sediments and soil, forming a flat, fertile landform. So it was called as floodplain. So as you are seeing in the picture there, right? And the next is of meander. Meander means as it was running. So the river water, as it was going on flowing away. So here are the large bends. You can see the large bends. Can you see the bends over there? It looks, how it look like? It's look like a horseshoe, isn't it? Have you all seen the horseshoe? Yes. So here you can see the twists and turns. So here the meander from the river, when it flows, it bends as a large and it forms like a river, like twist and turn. So they form as a result of deposition inside the bend and erosion outside it. So then the next picture shows that work of sea waves. So as we are going to learn about the work of sea waves. So here sea waves weather, like it break down into small pieces and erode the rocks along the shore, forming different landforms. They also deposit sediments along the shore. For example, when you go to Kanyakumari or Nagarkoil and all, you can see those arch like rock, and inside in some side you can see some rocks which are something differently happened because of the hard waves. So if I show you the example, you will come to know about it. So can you see this? This is known as sea cave. So how this sea cave have formed? So sea waves. So here it was also named as sea waves. So here the sea waves continuously strike at rock. Strike means the speed, with the speed of the sea waves, it will come and beat it, the strike the stone, so that it will crack them. See, this cracks widen and it will create a hollow portion called sea caves. So here the waves which can flow very fastly and will hit over the mountain, so that what will happen here, it will form as a sea cave. So that it was named as sea cave. So next one, sea arch. So how these sea arch are formed is of over time the waves weather the inside of the cave and only the roof is left. That means, for example, as I told you, the waves which flow very fastly, it will hit and it will make as a cave, isn't it? So slowly what will happen, it will take over all the rocks and it will become a arch over on the top, isn't it? So here it becomes the sea arch. So after some times what will happen, due to the speed waves, the arch will break and it will fall down, right? So here soon the rocks too is broken and only the walls are left. So here these are called as sea stack. Did you get me? Then the next one is of sea waves. Sea waves also erode the base of the land on the shore, forming a steep rocky coast called a sea cliff. So here the sea waves deposit sediments along the shores, forming beaches. So here you all have seen this in the pictures and all, you have seen. So a cliff is a mass of rock that rises very high. You can see the land portion was very high. Can you see that? And is almost vertical, generally found in the coastal area. So here you can see in the Kerala side and all, if you go now, you can see this Kerala, Goa and all, you can see this, the land level will be very high. So due to and you can see this part in the coastal areas. And the next part we are going to see is about, I'll tell you this in the part 2 video.